All right, so Alex is on, so let's go ahead and bring on Alex. This is
Okay.
A-Dubs is her YouTube name, and Alex Weiss is her government name. Alex,
Yes.
thank you for joining us. Nice to chat with you. Obviously, a lot of people have a lot of questions.
I have answers.
Okay, that's exciting. First of all, nice to see you wearing Teddy Fresh. That's appreciated.
I'm a fan.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And essentially, correct me if I've got the facts wrong. I'll just kind of establish the situation here a little bit.
All right, let's do it.
Alex Weiss, A-Dubs, is making regular content.
Mm-hmm.
How frequently are you posting back before you left?
More or less once a week for like 14 years. And
wow.
then
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I was doing a podcast every week for about 6 months.
Okay, so there was great regularity.
Yes.
So when you just suddenly disappeared for 4.5 months on April 30th, your fans started to get understandably worried, especially considering the context of your last video in which you talked about meeting and escaping a cult.
Yeah.
And then also mentioning that you were going to go do a potluck with them. And then from that, you went dark. So that's all correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me start here. Was this mention of a cult, was this an intentional thing that you did to try to antagonize your audience?
Okay, so let me explain. I know you were debating whether I did it on purpose or I was sort of like saving face after the fact. So I was making this podcast and I heard that it was going to be canceled along with a bunch of other shows. People were getting fired. But I wasn't really supposed to know. It was a very toxic work environment that I was in. And so I went into my last episode pretending that I didn't know it was going to be my last episode. Completely coincidentally, the night before, I went to a meditation group on Meetup. And it was culty. I didn't even get into the room because the outside of the scenario was so sketchy to me. And then I obviously was going to tell that story on the podcast no matter what, because it's fascinating. But there's a part of me that kind of knew it would be my last episode. So it might be like an interesting little something to throw in to pique curiosity. I have done a lot of like trolling type prank videos on my channel before. And so for me, it felt like a bit. And I also never planned on being gone as long as I was gone. I thought it would be like a month tops. So while this is definitely, it feels naive to say now, I was not thinking about the fact that people would be worried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so what was this network you were a part of these canceled podcasts?
They don't have a great reputation. I feel weird talking about it. Their name is Cast.
With a K?
Yeah.
I've heard of them. I'm not super familiar, but I've heard that name.
It was part of the reason I would say I completely went black on the internet was like, so I talked about this in my video at the beginning. I don't think you guys covered it. It was just talking about workaholism. And for me, that was like the end of the road. Like I couldn't push myself any further. I was trying to keep my head above water, being a part of this company. Like they weren't paying me. It was just really challenging. And so when I finally got the out from the podcast, I just had to sort of like take care of myself.
So I'm confused. I'm not part of like a network, so I don't know how this stuff works. You're an employee of Cast, or did you have a show with them and that they would like have you run ads and then pay you part of that? How did that work?
They were the production company for the podcast. So it was, I guess you would say I was freelancing. I was making a show with them, for them, and they were uploading it on other platforms, and then we were putting it on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so they were paying you like a monthly thing, and they didn't pay you?
They still haven't.
Well, that's fucked up.
It was also part of the reason I didn't know when to come back, because a lot of my viewers didn't like the show, and neither did I. And I wanted to talk about that, but it was suggested to me that they would make me sign an NDA. So I just didn't really know what to say.
Well, first of all, fuck Cast, dude. We gotta get you paid, dude.
I am not the only one that.
Wait, Hassan. Can I say that, T? I didn't know that.
It's coming from the chat. A few people have said that.
People in chat are saying Hassan got burned by Cast. Mm-hmm. What is the deal with these Cast people?
I don't know.
I don't like these
Hopefully that's
past
true.
folks.
I am just taking the chat's word for it, which is
Okay,
always a call.
so you knew that this was coming down the line. How far ahead of time did you know that the podcast was going to be canceled?
I think I found out either the day before or 2 days before. It was all like a whirlwind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they give you a reason?
Not particularly. I mean, in like one fell swoop, they fired like a ton of people and then canceled a bunch of shows. The communication was
Okay.
not great.
Okay, and so then how far in between the show being canceled did you, I guess, travel to the ayahuasca retreat?
Okay. Well, before I tell you that, I want to clarify me having that run-in with a cult in Los Angeles. I never went to the potluck. I joked about it and I talked to a friend about going and we were like, this is a bad idea. We're not doing this. The ayahuasca retreat, so unrelated.
So the cult you mentioned, totally unrelated.
So unrelated. I have made this huge mistake and like it's crazy to find myself in this situation, but I realized that like I basically planted two seeds next to each other in the same video where I was like, this was the rumor. I dealt with having this run in. And now I'm going to talk about this spiritual sort of experience I had. And obviously there's a lot of crossover between cults and spiritual experiences and communities. So I kind of feel like I created this convoluted conversation.
Yeah, I can see where the confusion came from on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put aside the cult you mentioned in your last episode because that's unrelated. Although you felt that was culty, you referred to the new one that you went to as cultish, though. You joked about it.
I think for me, I was like trying to segue in that video from the rumor and from what I was actually doing. And it was just sort of a natural segue of like, some people might think this is culty. And here's the thing, even if I didn't plant those two seeds together, surely people would think this is culty because it involves a lot of kind of like out there practices.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so the show ends.
Mm-hmm.
We're forgetting about the weird cult here. So how did you find out about this ayahuasca journey?
I would say in September, maybe like 2 months before all of this happened, I flew to Peru for 1 week to go to try ayahuasca at a center, just sheer curiosity. And it had helped me so much that I continued to start learning more about ayahuasca and different plant medicines. And so once the show was canceled and I knew I was going to take some time off, it was just sort of a no-brainer that that's what I wanted to go do with my time.
Did you find it odd, though, to like just not say anything to your fans who've been watching you weekly for 14 years?
Yeah. I definitely like, I don't like the way I handled it. And I like truly am to my viewers sorry that I completely left them in the dark. I think for me, it was when I left really shortly after for Peru, I didn't expect to be gone that long. And I was kind of like planning on coming back within a month.
I see.
But it was like the longer I was gone, the more debilitating it felt to come back and say something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going through such a weird experience that was very like emotional, I guess, that I wasn't in a place to say something. And I tried, in my video, I showed multiple clips of me like attempting to film videos once I got home. It's like trying to word out social posts. It was like, it's like I couldn't move past this barrier.
I understand what you mean, where it's like you plan to be gone for a week and then you kind of get wrapped up in this whole thing and it becomes harder to talk about. I can understand that. So you went to, it's this place in Peru. Is it the My Nidhi Healing Center? Is that the one you went to?
I'm not going to say what the center is. I just really don't want to drag them into the situation.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I know there's probably a few of them out there in Peru, right? They're somewhat common tourist destinations.
Probably like maybe like 100 more, I would say.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely like an active business there.
Okay, so you arrive at this healing center, or you had been there before, but you went back there.
No, different.
Oh, a different one. Okay.
I went to a different center. I had a great experience, but I found it to be very like westernized, very transactional. So when I chose the next place that I went to, I wanted it to be more authentic. I was just looking for a different experience. You know, you can go and you can do ayahuasca, but if you want to take it a step deeper, they'll put you on a thing called a master plant dieta. So that's what I was up to. And that's why I was there for 5 weeks.
One thing that I guess there's a few things that made me thinking like, this sounds kind of culty.
Yeah.
One, you mentioned this guy Maestro. That sounds like fucking kind of gnarly.
Okay, so it's a maestra, it's a woman.
Okay, Maestra.
Also, it's sort of like laughing at calling like a cup a cup. Like it's simply like what they're called. It's like it means teacher in Spanish. So if you go to any properly led ayahuasca ceremony, the person leading it is going to be called a maestra or a shaman. She also has a name, but the reason I didn't say it in the video and I kept saying maestra, which I understand is kind of odd to hear, is because I just didn't want to like drag the center specifically into it.
It was the context which you brought it up. You were joking about we're in a cult and cults usually have like a strong central person and we love them. We love Maestra. You kind of brought it up in that context.
Which is true. I mean, I really adore this woman and she did a lot for me. But in that same sentence, I was saying that we have like a reverence was what I was saying for the plants we worked with too. And I would say like the plants are sort of like the primary factor beneath all of this. Like she helps, but it's about the plants.
Are you still in touch with anyone back from the retreat you went to?
Yeah, I mean, I made a lot of friends there, so we communicate.
And is there any plans to return there?
Oh, I want to film a docu-series there.
Right,
so yeah.
A docu-series. Okay.
Yeah. Which, by the way, was my idea. No one encouraged me.
Okay, I don't know. These people have powers of persuasion. They plant an idea in your head and you think it's yours. So you want to go film this place? Yeah,
I think that there is a lot to explore in general around like indigenous cultures and what they can teach us. And I think this place specifically is just sort of a snapshot in that would be really fascinating.
Here's a few things that people noticed that I thought was pretty interesting. For example, you were in an isolation room.
I'm in isolation.
Which sounds weird already. I mean, but
okay.
But let me show you this detail and then you can respond to it.
Okay.
People pointed out there's a lock on the outside of the door. That's pretty strange.
Anybody. I spent 12
the lock's on the outside. That's like that's how you keep a prisoner. Right?
I was never locked. I don't think that lock was actually on the outside. I mean,
No, it is. Watch.
Remember it.
Here, let's watch slowly. So you walk. So here's the door, front of the door. You go in, you shut there's the lock. You can see the lock, you push it. And then funny. You go into the room right here. See? There's the lock. 12 days. And then you're in the room. Yeah.
I see it, but I don't I was never locked in that room. I don't even remember like using that lock specifically.
Was there a lock on the inside?
I thought that's what that lock was. I just never used it. So I don't know. Like seeing this for the first time, I'm like, what is going on? I was never locked in that room. Oh. But wait, I do want to say something. If you look up master plant dietas, which is like an indigenous practice that they do in many different communities along the Amazon, isolation is like a huge part of it. It's about kind of like getting as quiet as you can, so when things come up, you can process them.
Okay, another thing I wanted to ask you about. We also noticed that you have the same tattoo as your mysterious friend you came back with. Mm-hmm. Which everyone thought was kind of funny that like you just came back with this random bestie. What does it say? Irake?
Irake. It means thank you in Shipibo.
Okay. Did anyone else there have this tattoo?
I left the center. This wasn't planned, but I just made some good friends and we stayed in Peru for a little longer. And about 3 other people, we all got it together. I mean, the thing is like we went through a very transformative experience together and we wanted to get that tattoo.
Right. Okay.
Nobody told us to.
Were they all from the United States, all the friends you made?
Canada, the United States. Obviously, my friend Tessa's from the UK, from Denmark.
I see.
An array.
So let's see. So you were there. You were there for what, like 4 months, though? How long were you actually at the retreat?
I was at the retreat for 5 weeks, and then I stayed in Peru for, I think, 3 more weeks. And then the rest of it was just coming home. And then kind of like once I started seeing how serious the cult rumor was getting, I was just like debilitated and coming back. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to say it. And I was like going through a lot of processing. There's this period after you do ayahuasca or like any plant medicine, it's integration where like you kind of have to change your life a little bit to match the lessons you've learned. And so it was just like a very intense period for me. And I wasn't I wasn't ready to get on the
In your
internet.
comeback video, you kind of trivialized it, though. You said something about how you thought it was just a funny bit, and I guess a lot of your fans thought that was insensitive. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I mean, the way I said it after in that video after leaving them hanging was insensitive. The truth was, when I said it was funny, it was while I was in Peru. I wasn't on social media or anything, but I did get texts from two friends telling me that this was happening in a group chat. And when I said like it was funny, it was like, this is so surreal. I can't believe this is happening. And I'm so far removed from this right now that I have to like put it away for now, and I'll address it when I get home. I also talked about how there was this like sick satisfaction, I guess, that there was something to come back to. When I was making that YouTube video, I really wanted to come at it from a place of like complete honesty. And so in that video, I talked about workaholism, and that thought was like a function or like a symptom of workaholism. It wasn't my driving force or thought, but it was something that I brought up. And it was definitely like hard to watch back on the show when you guys were talking about it.
So, well, I guess you said it made you feel good in a way that you had something to come back to. I'm just kind of curious to unpack that a little bit. So it was like you had something to come back to, as in like people are thinking about you, or you have a video to make to explain it. Like, what was it that you meant by that?
I think I felt so creatively dry for so long. That it wasn't about people worrying or like wanting attention. It's not that I wanted people to worry. It was literally like, oh, this is like a concept. It's something I can like tangibly make something of. And there was comfort in that. And it's like, and I said it in the video. I think you guys were talking over it in the moment. Like, I'm not proud of the fact that I had that thought, but I was in that video just trying to like share everything that was coming up for me.
That makes sense. That's fair. And so, yeah, I see. I think the big disconnect was the cult mention in your last video that ended up being totally unrelated to anything.
Yeah. And I don't know how great of a job I did in the video separating the two. I didn't expect all of this, I will say.
So you're okay? You don't
I'm okay.
You don't feel that you're part of a cult or any dangerous situation?
I don't. And even the people in my life were all like, this is so crazy what's happening. And it's funny, like I would say like the least
I guess
okay.
I don't understand why you didn't make that clear instead of playing up like I am in a cult. Am I in a cult or am I not in a cult?
I mean, I feel like in the video I was joking about it, and I should have been more serious, but I was saying like, this is what happened. Now that I touched the fact that I never got involved with this cult, here's actually where I was.
Right.
And because it's inherently spiritual, some people might mistake the two. But I should have made it clearer.
Okay.
My intention was not for people to then think that I really was in a cult. Like the bit was supposed to be over.
Right. Would you go to that potluck now if you were invited? I hear it's happening again this weekend.
I think I'd probably pass.
You'd pass. Okay.
Yeah.
You passed that test. So I'm actually just curious now your experience there. So you were there for 5 weeks. And then how soon after you arrived do you take the ayahuasca?
I think it's the day after. You have a ceremony where you drink a really small amount, like you kind of barely feel it.
Just kind of right.
Testing the waters.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna explain what it is, but I know it's gonna sound really out there. The idea is that you can work with different plants to heal various different ailments, physical, spiritual, mental. So when you're in that room with the shamans who work there, they kind of tap into your energy and they can tell you what plants they think you should work with. So every single person there gets prescribed different plants. They'll be like, you're going to drink this 6 days in a row. And that's why we fast sometimes, is that you want those plants, like just like when drinking alcohol, it penetrates more if you're on an empty stomach. And that's going to help you with this X, Y, and Z. And people come for various different things.
So the first night you're testing it a little bit. They make you a special formulation. And then was there puking and shitting the first night?
Not the first night, at least not for me, but there was a decent amount of that in the weeks to follow.
And did you ever shit yourself?
I never shit myself, but I definitely shit. Yes.
That's fair. I you know what I mean? We all poop.
You know, it's fascinating. There are actually lots of different kinds of purges. Like I did a lot of yawning.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever have a close call? Did anyone there shit their pants?
It's a great question. I have a friend that almost shit their pants. Okay. I would say like
close call.
In the brink of time, they made it to the bathroom.
Come on, Zach. It's got to be kind of trippy to be like on ayahuasca and taking a massive dump in a tiny space in like the jungle.
It's
Are the
really
locks on the outside?
yeah.
So then, let's see here. How many people were at the ceremony doing ayahuasca with you?
The retreat holds about, I want to say maybe 19 people at a time, and they host 3 ceremonies a week, but you're not necessarily in a ceremony if you're at the center, because if you're working with a different non-psychoactive plant, they don't have you do both. So, probably as little as 6 people, as many as 19 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You feel when there's 19 people there that it dampened your experience?
It can be overstimulating, especially if a lot of people are puking. The sound is really, it kind of like.
That's kind of gnarly. They should
Still
limit
want to
that.
go, Olivia?
Well, I mean, I'm identifying with you, Alex. Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Olivia has a phobia of puke, and she was just saying actually that she was considering going to the ayahuasca.
Well, here's what
journey.
I'm saying is that if it's not a cult, sounds like fun
But
summer.
you cool with the puking? Maybe you'll get over it.
Well,
Maybe they can
Alex,
heal
you
your
said that
phobia,
you don't
yeah.
like it, right? So you dealt with it.
Well, who
Does
likes
anyone
it?
like
Yeah.
puking? I don't have like a fear of it. I would say
Oh.
actually it was maybe one of the less uncomfortable parts of being on ayahuasca.
Oh, okay, so I will absolutely not be going. Thank you.
So are you-
just making
so-
sure.
So is there people puking like just on the floor and shit, or are they able to get it in buckets? Like what's happening?
You have a little mat and then you have a bucket in front of you. And yeah, if you have to puke, you puke in your
Do you
bucket.
shit in the bucket?
No, there's a bathroom.
There's a
and,
bathroom nearby.
You can like kind of call a facilitator to come help you walk to the bathroom.
Is it close?
Yeah, it's really close.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So you could hear people like blasting ass?
Okay, so during the ceremonies, they're singing this music. It's called Icaros. It's medicine music. And so you can't hear people blasting ass during ceremonies.
Okay.
But once the ceremonies end, and that's another reason it's hard to have a lot of people in the ceremony, because it means it lasts till like, 3 or 4 in the morning, because everyone's getting their own song. After, when everyone's like kind of laying, it's called in a maloka, the building. And people have heard me get sick too. It's just.
I feel like they're doing a little bit. I feel like they're prioritizing profit over experience. If they're slamming 19 bodies in there, you know what I mean?
It's actually a pretty big building. Like it never felt.
I know,
too
but
tight.
why you got to hear all these people puking and shit? Like 6 makes sense. You know what I mean? 19, like come on.
I suppose it is a lot. It was never too much. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was the maestro or anybody that works there get the same tattoo as you? Do they have the same tattoo?
No.
Okay, just checking. So you're there, you're shitting your brains out, and then the next night you take like a bigger dose. Is that what happens?
Not the next night. Maybe it would be 2 to 4 nights later, unless she doesn't tell you to take ayahuasca. Because, like, for example, I worked with other plants. So I drank this plant called Wayusa for 6 days and I wasn't taking ayahuasca. And Wayusa is a tea. It's not a psychedelic at all. But when you're getting your body quiet enough, and so you're like not consuming a lot, or maybe you're in isolation, or your diet's really clean. I know this sounds crazy, but somehow you're able to sort of learn lessons, whether it's your dream state or like your waking days.
Is the herbal drink you're drinking, I know it's not psychoactive, but does it have some kind of like drug-like property? Maybe a sedative or?
I don't believe so.
No effect. Interesting.
Yeah.
And who's the lady sucking the puke out of you guys?
That's the maestra who runs the center.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's actually pretty young. I think she's in her 30s.
And so as you guys are tripping, she's sucking on you and puking?
I mean,
19 people?
Not often. I would say like this is an experience that not everyone had, and I had once during my 5 weeks there. It's also something that, like, in hindsight, I feel like maybe I could have not shared on the internet. It's like you kind of had to
Why
be
not?
there.
Radical honesty.
Yeah, it sounds crazy though, and I know that. And I think if I could liken it to anything, and I don't know much about this, it's like Reiki. Like she's doing energy work of sorts. All I know is she sucked. I got up and I felt different, and I thought it was crazy too, but it was my experience.
So how intense was her sucking? How deep in did she inhale? Was there more than one suck? Was it a sucking moment?
It was just a suck here, a suck here, a suck here.
Okay. And like
Maybe
deep
lasted
inhales?
a minute.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
a deep inhale. I don't know. It's hard to really, when you're on ayahuasca, it's, hard
I
to
believe
know.
you, girl.
Thank you.
I know it's a heavy
Absolutely.
psychedelic, so I'm with you all the way. I
No,
know
this
how it
sounds
gets.
this sounds great.
Well, was
Love
it
it.
euphoric? Well, hold on, Livia, before you start, was it euphoric? Did you feel
Book a
good?
flight to Peru.
Okay. I would say, so the first half of my time there, the ayahuasca ceremonies were fucking brutal because you're processing so much stuff, you're purging. I would say I felt like fear, disorientation, all the bad stuff. And then the more I worked through things, the more kind of like beautiful the ceremonies began to become. Like they were about oneness and understanding your own power, stuff that feels much better than the initial half.
But did you have a body euphoria? You know what I mean? Like there's certain drugs that give you like a body euphoria. I'd say mushrooms do that. Painkillers do that. A lot of drugs do that. Ecstasy does that. You know what I mean?
Well, I want to say that I've learned that everyone's experience is different. So I will say what mine is, but that it doesn't mean that it would be the same. For me, I actually experienced a lot of pain in my body more than anything. Like it felt uncomfortable to be in my body. And then if it wasn't pain, I was just completely not in my body. Like it was experiencing like what it felt like to not be associated to your mind or your body. Like you're in some sort of like spiritual ether.
Ego death, I believe we call that. Dan?
Yeah.
Is that what we call it? You're the resident acid tripper.
You asking me? Sure. Yes. Yeah. It's oftentimes referred to that when it comes to psychedelics.
Thank you. Okay, interesting. So what's the big takeaway for you? What was it that was so magical for you there? I mean, you're thinking about it, you're talking about it, you want to go back and make a documentary. I mean, what's going on there?
Well, I think I went in really in a bad place and it felt like it gave me so much. I learned so much and I was kind of in awe at the way plants were able to help me and communicate with me. Like to drink something that's not even psychoactive and then have experiences that I would not normally have in my waking life that were kind of giving me like revelations or realizations was like it just felt like otherworldly, and I feel like I left with more self-love than I've ever had, more peace. And also not only in the way it helped me find more peace, like I watched it really help other people. You guys talked about this briefly. I know it sounds crazy. I mentioned someone with Crohn's disease and holes in their stomach.
Oh, didn't you say it cured Crohn's disease?
Yeah, in the video, I corrected myself. I don't think you guys saw it. It said like it stopped the symptoms. So I had a friend who went to this center, I want to say like 14 months ago, and he just hasn't had Crohn's disease symptoms since.
Right.
And then the hernia was like a completely separate situation.
Well, you said it got rid of the holes in someone's body. Were you talking about Crohn's?
I don't know much about it, but so this girl came in, this woman, and she said she had a hole in her stomach from lifting, a hernia. I really don't know much about it. She went to a doctor. They said that she had to have this invasive surgery. She didn't want to. So she came to the center and was like, I heard you guys can do things. Can you do it? She went through this experience where she had like a sap on her patch on her stomach. She was drinking various plants. A week later, she sent a picture of an updated CT scan at her doctor after she left, and the hole was just gone.
The hole was gone.
The hole was gone. I also have the receipts if you want them.
I want receipts. Yeah, I'm going to need to back that up.
Okay, let me send it.
I need the whole pre and post hole pics.
A pre-post hole on the way.
So
I kind of figured you'd ask.
Did it cure any illness of yours? Did you feel that you...
I would say I went in with more like mental issues. And I would say, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway I learned was I'm able to sort of remove myself more from the melodrama of my life and feel a little bit more peace, like regardless of what's happening, which is wonderful considering what's happening right now. It's been really weird to be at the center of this conversation. Also, I think you and I'm sending you on Zoom. Is that a good place to send?
Yeah, right, Dan? You can pull that up. Yeah, let's see them holes.
I don't want to assume, but I think you and I have a similar condition. It's called Tourette's OCD.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds similar. I don't know. I've never heard of that, but it sounds like the same thing because Tourette's is a type of OCD. I think it's like part of the same family,
I notice for me, it gets worse when I'm in like a high pressure situation or I feel anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed that like the more general work I'm doing, whether it's like meditation or not, but also going to the center, it's helped that condition a lot.
Have you heard of Nexium?
That's my next adventure.
There's this guy, Mark Elliott.
Twain.
He's doing really amazing stuff with
Have a
people
good
with Tourette's.
I heard about this.
Yeah.
Well, because you guys made a joke about it healing Tourette's, and I was like, the fact that it actually helped my.
Well, you're right. I think Tourette's is highly affected by stressors and stuff. So
I think
can
like
see
the
that
more
it
you
affects
think
it.
your general well-being, it helps. Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
long has it been since you left? Do you feel that the effects are lasting on you? Do you feel like permanently changed by it?
I think it's been 3 months. I feel permanently changed, but here's the thing. You can go and you can do ayahuasca, you can do this whole process and not really change very much. They say 80% of the work is in the integration. So it means that you have to come home, you have to actually take the things that you learned and then apply it to your everyday life. And so that's what I'm in the process of doing. It's like I feel changed, but it's because every single day I wake up and I choose to do the things that I know are going to help me, like meditate.
It sounds like when you described coming back and then you felt like so centered and whole, but then at the same time felt completely alienated. That doesn't sound that good.
I think what it is, this is like a common sentiment when you're going through spiritual awakenings of sorts, is like you start noticing parts of your life that you don't identify with anymore, whether it's habits or where you live or people in your life. And so I just started feeling disconnected from the things in my life that I needed to disconnect from. I think there was a misinterpretation on the podcast about what I was saying in the video. Like for the very most part, I'm connected to everyone in my life. I had never been disconnected from my family. It was like 2 friends that I lost along the way.
Why? How did you lose them?
One of my friends, she was really upset about the fact that I wasn't speaking up online. And she basically said that she would if I didn't. And I was like, can you please let me handle this on my own? I don't know. It became a bit hostile and we just sort of fell out.
But she didn't end up saying anything.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's interesting. And
Yeah.
was this a good friend of yours? Well, that seems like a shame to lose a friend over that.
Yes. And I think it was sort of a friendship that I knew even before I left was one that wasn't like the long run.
Okay. You
Yeah.
weren't feeling it. Can I maybe hit you with something of a paradox I'm noticing?
Okay.
You went to this retreat and you became centered and you became like super aware. But at the same time, it seems like you've made, at least it seems from the outside, a somewhat big mistake in the way that you handled the situation. It seems to be at odds a little bit. Like if you were centered and if it had like bringed you up to like heightened enlightenment, I feel like that may have been something of a clear decision for you to make.
I think just because I was feeling centered doesn't mean I'm not a human who makes mistakes. For me, being centered was a lot about addressing my workaholism, which I talked about in my video. And so for me, actually, like not feeling pressure to speak up too soon when I felt sort of like debilitated was, I think for me personally, even though maybe it wasn't good for my career or for other people, was the best choice.
Right.
In terms of how I navigated making the video, I don't know however centered you can be. I think it was just, you never know how things are going to pan out.
And then I was just curious, what was the second friend that you lost as a consequence of the retreat?
Simply highly associated with the first one.
Oh, okay.
It was,
I
you know,
see.
a duo.
I see. I got the pictures of the miracle hole.
Yeah.
Here's this one, and then let me pull up the other one.
I think that's the after, right?
So this is
Yeah.
This is the hole.
Yeah, that's the hole.
Okay.
That's a big hole.
Take a look at that,
Yeah,
huh?
I see it.
Now that's a hole. So, and then here is
Holeless.
I don't see a hole here. I mean, I'm not a doctor.
I don't
but
see
that
know what
checks
I'm
out.
looking at.
I'm not
That's
a
what I
doctor,
was
but
gonna
I don't
say.
see a hole.
I don't see a single hole there.
There's nothing circled on that one.
I don't notice anything.
Whatever that's worth.
That's 2D.
Huh? Let me look at the beginning, before and after again.
Framing evidence.
Oh yeah, that's a hole.
And a hole in it. But then here, I don't. This is no hole. in
There's,
this
I
one.
mean, that appears to be
Dark
holeless.
spots.
Right.
And this happened in 1 week?
No, she was there, I think, for like 3.5 weeks. And then the week after going home, she went to the doctor again and she sent us a message like in awe, obviously, because it's kind of crazy.
I don't want to be rude, but do you really believe this?
Yeah. I mean, I got to know her. I don't see any incentive for lying. And then my friend as well with the Crohn's disease, like, I talked to him and he's like, yeah, I'm blown away. I don't understand. But for 14 months, I just haven't had symptoms,
Well, that one's more believable just because I know Crohn's disease has periods of like good and bad phases.
Mm-hmm.
But a hole, this man lost a hole. The hole filled in. Here it is.
Yeah.
Did this person take the ayahuasca?
She drank ayahuasca, but it wasn't the ayahuasca that helped her with that. It was the other plants. That's like
Okay.
a master plant dieta is working with all these various different plants in the rainforest. And so she for the whole time she was there, she had this like thing on her stomach and she was drinking different plants.
Okay, listen, this is just out of pocket. I mean, who made this? This is outrageous. This is Mr. Beast's new
Mr. Beast is
video.
the maestro.
I went to Peru and I healed 1,000 holes. Maybe a future collab for your documentary?
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, that's Cameron for it. He's the best in the biz.
No, that wasn't me. That was somebody on the Reddit.
Oh, somebody already posted that on the subreddit?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah,
wasn't
wow.
Cam.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well.
That's not right.
So if you believe that this ayahuasca can cure mental, I don't want to call it necessarily mental illness. I don't know what's the word for but can cure, let's just say mental illness for lack of a better word, can cure physical ailments, then this is an urgent and paramount medical discovery, isn't it?
To clarify, it's not necessarily ayahuasca that's doing this. It's the other plants.
Or
It's
whatever
like,
they're doing over there. Yeah, not necessarily.
yeah. That's why I'm like I gotta go film something there. It's kind of mind shattering. And I know from the outside it sounds crazy, but I met so many people who came and went and it helped them.
Where did you originally get the idea to do the ayahuasca retreat?
I think, I probably saw it on Chelsea Handler like years ago and I was intrigued. And so I went to one center and it helped me a lot. So I was like, how can I explore this further?
You went to a center in America or in Peru?
No, I went to one in Peru,
Oh, I
like
see.
just for a week, different center. It was great, but I wanted to do something a little bit more intensive.
Let me ask you this. Another thing you mentioned in your video was that the maestro has kids and there's kids running around. I found that a little bizarre.
That's actually part of the reason I chose this center because the first one I went to, it was very westernized and I wanted to have a very authentic experience. The job that she's doing, I mean, she's staying in ceremonies until really late at night. She kind of has to live where she works. And she has kids. She has like 5 kids. So they live there with her. They kind of have like their family lives in this house and then a little bit to the side, you have the business, like the
Do you think
center.
the kids take ayahuasca? I was reading about another maestro who said he started taking ayahuasca at 12. I was like, what the fuck?
I know that she has a kid who drank for the first time when I was there, and she made him wait until I think he's 19.
Okay. That's a responsible age.
She does have someone working with her at the center who did start drinking when they were 12 and is now 90 years old. So I do know that there are people in that culture who do drink really young.
He started at 12. He's 90. How's his mind? Is he still there?
It's hard to. He only speaks Shipibo, so I have no way of knowing. I have no way of knowing.
Right. I see. Damn, 90. Okay. I mean, shit.
I mean, he works every ceremony, and he shows up, which is pretty impressive for a 90-year-old.
Can I ask you a question? You don't. I'm not asking about you personally, but were people having sexual interactions there at all?
You're not allowed to. No.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a nice strike against the cult accusation, because I know them cult leaders, boy. They got one thing on their mind. Okay, so no sexual interaction. It's prohibited.
Yeah.
And what happens if people get caught doing the hanky panky?
I don't know what happens. Maybe a slap on the wrist. I mean, you're kind of just.
People want to follow the rules there.
You're there to make it work, and it's part of the process is to not do that. So I think most people don't.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. You want to get as maybe like ethereal or like up here as possible. So that's why you're not engaging in sexual behavior. You're not eating foods that are really stimulating. Like the less body needs to process, the more that you're like emotional.
And
process.
so that makes sense to me. When I do stuff like that, I don't feel sexual at all. But I can see why they would. I like that they prohibit it. I think that's good. It seems to me that I don't think it sounds very culty now that I've talked to you.
You know, me neither.
But it does sound a little bizarre. I mean, but you know that.
I know that.
Yeah. But I know a lot of people that took ayahuasca and had positive experiences. So I know that's a thing. But the whole healing thing strikes me as a little bit weird. Like you want to do the documentary, and what is the purpose of the documentary? To highlight the healing properties of the plants, or what?
I think it's a combination of things. And I'm still sort of figuring out the angle. I'm really intrigued by how much plants can help people. And I think this center is like a way in to explore, like tell the story through human characters. But yeah, to teach about plant medicines and just like let people know that this exists. I know it sounds really crazy, but I think we're coming at it from like a very Western perspective. And we've lost a lot of touch with what it means to be like creatures who are connected to the earth. Like there's just a lot of wisdom that we don't engage with anymore.
I don't mean to sound obtuse, but isn't most medicine derived from plants?
I'm probably, yeah. I think there's something about like using it in its raw form in this
form
way that's really powerful.
Okay. So it's the amount of processing, because like, for example, when you take a pill, it's highly processed. There's no plant left. But you do process the ayahuasca. I saw a video of how they made it.
What do you mean by process?
Well, they get the roots and the twigs and the leaves and the bark, and they boil it, right?
Into like a brew. It's basically like two plants that they make into a tea, like a thick, awful tasting tea.
Who was the person who got their stomach healed? Was this someone that you spent a lot of time with there?
Yeah. It's this girl. Her name's Veronica. I think she'd be fine with me saying that. I don't know how old she is. Maybe like 29. She has 2 kids. She was really worried that she wouldn't be able to pick them up.
Two kids? Was like, how long? She was there for 5 weeks?
She was there for 3.5 weeks, and she has a partner who was with her kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me about like the stomach healing stuff is that based on what I've seen, this stuff doesn't really pan out. And I hope that, you know, people who are desperately sick that need medical intervention, or let's say Western medical intervention, or people who are people who are looking for a cure to something that's terminal or something like that, you know, that they'll be seeking falsely out a cure for something that can't really help them at all. And maybe it's taking away some of their precious time that they could have been with their family or something.
I know that in my experience there, everyone that I met got what they came for. And at the same time, obviously, they don't claim that they're going to fix or be able to heal anything. In fact, I think they do a lot of preliminary calls before people come, and they will tell you if they don't think they can help you.
Who do you talk to when they call you?
Well, they have people who run like the business side of things, and they'll connect you with the maestra for like a preliminary conversation. I didn't have that conversation with them, but I think it depends on because you have to do it like an intake form. And I think if they feel like they need to follow up with you based on what you're looking for, then they'll have a conversation with you.
Can I ask you the cost of the retreat?
Yeah, it was less than $2,500 for
5 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I extended a week when I was there, so it was about that much.
It's not that bad, right?
Not at all.
That's pretty
It's actually really on the inexpensive side.
Maybe a good idea for a company retreat.
Yeah, where else are you going to go somewhere for 5 weeks for $2 or $3 grand?
And they feed you, they house you, that it's all inclusive?
Plants,
stomach
food,
or the puke sucking included?
all of it.
All inclusive.
I mean,
Pool access?
Pool access?
No pool.
Lifeguard
no
on duty?
pool.
Oh, well, that's a bummer.
Cold showers.
Cold showers, okay.
Olivia, you seem really sold. I can see your enthusiasm.
oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I would follow up with that stomach person. What is a hole in the stomach, by the way? Is that? I don't even think that's a real medical condition. You can't have a hole.
It's a hernia. She said it.
Oh, a hernia.
Yeah,
a hernia. Well, hernias can be cured.
They can. She said that. It's just that they didn't want to get the surgery, right? Mm-hmm. It's a very, it's like kind of an intense surgery to fix a hernia. And
yeah.
So let me look at those photos again.
I mean, I think it's kind of along the lines of like, you know, I have a friend right now who has lupus and she's using a raw diet to help. I think it's just using.
But a hernia.
No, I know it's a little bit more. It's different.
A hernia is like you're physically moving a part of your body, whereas lupus. I don't know much about lupus, but
it's an autoimmune.
I could see drinking some like mint tea or something for that. Do we like mint? Is mint healing? So once again, hernia.
Mm-hmm.
How do we know that? To be honest, why is this? I'm just gonna be straight. Why is this compelling to you? I mean, it's just two random images.
I mean, look, this is like a person in my life that I believe, you know, and like she has no intention.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
She doesn't have
an affiliation.
A stock. Yeah, she doesn't have own stock in the ayahuasca retreat.
No, certainly not. I mean,
fair enough.
She was there on the journey with me. Like I saw her being like, I really hope this works. Like I'm so stressed about, you know, and then it did.
I guess stranger things have happened. I don't know.
Stranger things have happened. Can it cure cancer?
I don't know that.
Right.
I don't know about that.
Right. Let's just hedge our bet and say no.
That's probably the safe answer.
Let's stay on the safe side.
Probably the safe answer.
All right. Well, listen. Definitely not a cult. I'll give that stamp right there. Not a cult.
Thank you.
But yeah, I totally see where the confusion happened. So we got that cleared up. No association with the original cult people that try to recruit you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sounds like you had a nice ayahuasca journey, and your fans kind of just were worried about you, and that's what happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Didn't handle it in the best way.
That's
Lessons
okay.
learned.
Yeah, we all, like you said, we all make mistakes. I understand the mind frame of having gone through something and not feeling ready to like deal with something. You know what I mean? Like I totally get that. Yeah. What is this question? Did you meet any machine elves?
Oh, I feel like I know what this question means.
I don't know what that means.
A lot of people who do ayahuasca will tell you that they experience what seem to be like alien robots working on their body.
Okay. Did anyone there experience that?
No one I know there experienced that, I don't think. But I remember at the very first ayahuasca retreat I went to, someone said exactly that. And then someone who worked there was like, that's normal.
Whoa, I want that.
Well, that ain't normal.
It's normal for those kind of.
But you know what? Listen, I'm very pro. I encourage people to experiment with drugs responsibly. So I got, you know what I mean? Like I encourage it all. And but it sounds like you sound like you had a good experience over there, and you feel like a better person for it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Are you going to start making videos again? Are you getting back into the swing of it? What's your plans in the future?
Yeah, I gotta say, this whole internet debacle has kind of like knocked the wind out of me. So I think I just like need a moment. But yeah, I mean, I want to make videos. I'm just sort of like figuring out what that looks like and what feels good to make. I'm trying to approach it differently now. Kind of like what led me to going was the workaholism, like the hamster wheel of being on YouTube.
Sure.
And so now I'm trying to figure out how to engage with it differently.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Fuck Cast too, by the way, if you're there watching.
Evidently.
Yeah. They actually had a show where someone on that show, I think it was called No Chasers, they called them out for not paying them. It's like
how are they not paying people?
Thread of stories.
Cast, what the fuck?
Yeah, earlier I saw those comments about Hassan, and when we mentioned it on air, I saw a lot of follow-up comments of people saying that Hassan still bitches about it to this day. So I guess he had a pretty negative experience.
I'm going to ask him how much Cast owes him.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the people keep working with them after that. You know, I've heard about all these podcast production companies. They sound all so shitty, but I guess that was your experience, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have ayahuasca with you? Did you bring any home?
Just a bag in the fridge. I don't.
You don't have any? I guess is it easy to try? You probably couldn't travel because it's like a drink, right? I guess you could put it in a thermos.
I mean, maybe you could bring the raw plants and make your own brew.
Is it not illegal in the state? I feel like customs.
No, it's definitely, you have to be, in order to have or like orchestrate ayahuasca, it needs to be considered a religious institution or something like that.
Oh,
right.
That's true. I think there are ayahuasca clinics here, and they're like, oh yeah, we're religious. Is it religious though? Or do you find that, or it's more like a spiritual thing?
I would say it's spiritual.
Yeah.
I think that's just like the guise that people have to use here in order to make it happen. And also, by the way, I don't think until the end of the episode did you guys realize I was in Peru. If I was doing all of that stuff in Los Angeles, like, yeah,
that'd be
very culty.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Just a different culture. So,
sure.
You know, different context.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you for calling and sharing your story with us, you know.
Thank you for giving me the
that.
opportunity.
I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
And I hope that you can, you know, find the path forward for yourself in terms of this job that we've decided for ourselves. It is crazy. I mean, it is psychotic, the work we do. At the end of the day, it's really fucking weird. It is. It
It's
is
hard to
just
like
weird.
extricate yourself from it. It's
Well, I'm heavily medicated, just on different stuff. I'm on all kinds of
Where's the organ?
antidepressants. I'm on Lexapro, Wellbutrin, and
A whole lot.
you call it ayahuasca. I call it Lexapro and Wellbutrin. Anything
Hey, but-
else?
I'll see you soon, girl.
See you in
Before we
Peru.
sign
See you in
off,
Peru.
I was gonna wear this in the show, but I didn't want it to seem like I was trying to win you guys over. But I'm gonna put it on now that we're ending it.
Okay.
We got
Okay. Yes. Queen. Love Slay.
Nice,
I love that
nice,
beanie
nice,
too.
nice.
That's a really cool one. Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Thank you. Yeah, but I'm with you, girl. I get it. You know what I mean? I get it.
Thank you for that, and really thank you for having me on. It was a good opportunity to just express everything.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Yeah.
be good. If you go back, let Olivia know, I think.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
We'll be travel partners.
Are you planning to go back anytime soon?
I do want to. I am. Okay. Full truth. It's comedically painful. I'm leaving tomorrow to go get footage in Peru for this
Oh my God.
docuseries.
So how long have you been back?
3 months, maybe 3.5.
Oh, you've been
months.
back for a minute.
Yeah.
And you just
Yeah.
didn't talk about it until after a while.
Yeah. I kept trying to. Like, I made multiple videos, but it was just not coming together.
So you're going to go back with just you, or are you bringing a camera crew? What's the, just you?
No, it's just me. I'm just trying to get some like preliminary interviews to put together like a concept video for a pitch deck.
And
Nothing
are you going to be
like-
taking ayahuasca during your visit there?
I don't think so, but if the opportunity presents itself, I would.
Well, why wouldn't the opportunity present itself? It's an ayahuasca retreat.
Because I'm not going and like paying for the retreat. I'm just going and footage.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll hook you up.
I hope so.
There it is. All right.
Yeah.
Well, have fun. How long are you going to be
Thank
there?
you.
So the fans know that you didn't get recruited into a cult again.
Well, I'm going to be there like 10 days, but I think I'm going to stay in South America for a little while because I'm really trying to learn Spanish. So it may be like a month.
Okay. There you go. A month, guys. And you promise if you're gone for longer than a month, we'll get an update?
Okay.
Okay. There it is. Just a simple update, you know?
Maybe
Really?
on Instagram, if not
A month?
YouTube.
Just say, guys, I'm a cool, a month. Jordan Peterson wants more updates, but
month?
I'm letting you off the hook with the month.
Thank you.
All right, Alex, be good. Have a good time. Be safe, and
Have a good
we
night.
believe in you.
Yay. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Nice chatting. Thank you
Nice
for
to meet
calling.
you.
Bye.
For having me. Bye.
There it is. Not a cult.
Seeing Impulsive is on the cast website too.
Dude, how do people sign up? Like, the thought of putting my baby, my child, in the hands of some other asshole, like, there's no need to include them. It's so...
Baby,
You have always been a very DIY kind of guy. You always try and do things yourself, and a lot of people aren't. It's easier. It's easier to just have a turnkey solution. It's just like you handle all the stuff. I just show up and talk.
It is easier.
Yeah.
But the amount that you relinquish to them is so not worth it. You know what I mean?
I'm fully with you.
Yeah.
I like and respect that you have always been a do everything internally kind of dude.
Thank
So,
you, Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that was interesting.
Well,
Yeah, I see where the big disconnect came from there.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out everything you read on the internet isn't always true.
Shocking.
But I do feel that we can definitively say, here and now, at this very moment, not a cult.
Not a cult. Yeah, I think that's fair.
The healing thing is a little... I'm going to need some more receipts.
I mean,
on
you
the,
and I,
on the healing
people
thing.
know we're not really on board with the alternative medicine stuff. Anybody?
I mean,
heard us
that-
talk about chiropractors on this show, but
That's like,
No.
the evangelicals. Demon, stand up and walk, demon.
Yeah, none of you guys will have chiropractors.
There's a
Yeah,
handicapped
the
demon in
special
you.
Ceremonies.
frankly, I would say this is less bullshit than chiropractors.
For sure. Oh, yeah. Wait, chiropractors? I thought you were going to say evangelical
Oh, no.
healing.
Oh, well, that too.
This is, I'm fully out on chiropractic.
That's what I'm saying. At
Yeah.
least with this, there's like the ambiguity of like, most medicine is derived from one plant or another. So like,
That's where I get...
though I'm skeptical, I can at least follow the logic there. Whereas, the chiropractors, I'm gonna snap your neck and it's gonna cure your Crohn's disease. It's like that's not anything.
And
real.
I hate to say it too, but acupuncture. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. Everybody got mad at me in the office
Acupuncture
the
is
other day when I
bullshit.
said that.
Very sorry. I know. I'm sorry. It's just it is. I don't know how else to explain it to you.
All I know is that it's worked for me once.
Sorry.
Okay, good. Do it then.
Good.
If it works for you,
Good. Enjoy.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys.
do
Thank
it.
you, guys.
It works.
Thank you.
it works.
It works.
But I agree. Yeah, it's less bullshit than that. We should do. I see people still conflicted. Some people are saying is a cult. Listen, if there's not a dude there who's fucking kids, it's not a cult. As far as I'm concerned, that's the bottom line.
I think the physical healing is so cringy. And very dangerous because that preys on like really weak people who has like tried everything and then they go there to spend their money and to like think it's gonna repair a hole in their stomach. I think that's kind of.
I'm 100% with you. I mean, listen, it's her experience, so I'm not here to call her a liar or anything. But let's do a poll: cult, not cult. It is not a cult, though, guys. Well, I don't know why I'm even giving you the power of the vote on this one. Not a cult. But that's the other thing where it's like you hear a lot of the same tropes with this stuff, like plants are saving us all, and it's like, well, pretty much all medicine is derived from plants. I mean, isn't everything kind of derived from natural origins? We live on the planet. It's all natural, baby.
That is so true.
Like, what's not natural? Tell me what's not natural.
Cheetos.
Jimmy Lee's hairline.
Cheetos are not natural. You're right.
Jimmy Lee's hairline.
Jimmy Lee's hairline.
That is
That ain't from this
man-made.
earth. That ain't from this earth. You're right. Okay, well done. You guys got me.
Thank
But
you.
you know what? I think she's super nice, and I totally understand. Unfortunately, what she went through in terms of not communicating. Like I know what she means. So just kind of an unfortunate situation. Interestingly, that she lost a couple of relationships through the.
Yeah, that's sad.
They were gonna out her. That was a little weird.
Yeah, that's not fair.
That's not their place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with her on that. Okay. Not a cult, just odd. Someone said, and I agree with that. Some people thought she was being dishonest about the lock. I don't know. Who puts a lock on the outside of the door, though? Let's be real. It's weird.
There was a giant window in it that she could have escaped
Fair.
easily.
That
to
was
be
my
fair.
Fair.
perception because
Yeah.
I saw people were like freaking out about the lock, and then like in that same shot, you could see that like it didn't look. If that's a prison, it's not very secure.
No, it was like a barn door.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. It wasn't a very strong lock either. You could definitely shoulder
Figure
it
that
off.
shit out. Yeah.
Also, to me, when I see this, and again, I'm coming from a very skeptical mind, but I think these dudes are just making a ton of fucking money.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and she gets pre-called by like some fucking business person. It's just some like random white person.
Well, we don't know that.
I'm making assumptions here.
Right. I mean, I kind of had that vibe too, but I don't know. Like I said, $2,500 for
That is not-
5 weeks. I mean, if it's a scam, they could be scamming for a lot more.
That's
if they
true.
want it to be.
My worry is if you come to them and you call them and you say, yo, I'm really fucking sick, they increase the price the more desperate you are. That's kind of my worry.
I mean, if
That-
they did
like
something
that-
like that, that would obviously be
You know
pretty
what?
exploitive.
That's for sure true. But like,
'Cause
well,
she-
he goes,
she's
I
not
have she said her friend called and goes, I have a hernia. Can you cure it? They're
Right.
like, yeah, bro, I'll just put some bamboo on it. You're good. Or whatever.
Right. I think it's fucked up. I can't lie. I think it's messed up to promise that kind of stuff and to promote it.
Well, again, I agree with you. That was her experience. So I can't tell her
Right.
like that, her perception is wrong.
No, she's not at fault necessarily. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, listen, love that she's, when she reached out and said she wanted to call in, I was pretty sure. I was like, oh, this isn't a cult then.
Right, because the
'cause
call
they-
wouldn't let you speak to anyone.
They'd be very controlling of the
Yeah.
communication. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.